All right, we have more proof that the Las Vegas Raiders just stole the NFL draft. What does that mean to steal the NFL draft? I got that for you. Oh, we're going to talk about it. But before that, I'm Craig. Me and my buddy Chris started this channel because we love the NFL. We love teams that the national media doesn't necessarily talk about. But more than that, with the Raiders, there's a few teams that just fit. We're Lions fans. We understand Raider Nation. Like, we get it. We understand what's going on over there. We're thankful for everything that you guys are doing and feel like there's a lot of similarities between both the Raiders and the Lions, but also it's a mentality thing, right? We have the Raiders-Pistons connect. Anyways, thought you absolutely nailed this draft. So, again, I'm going to show you real quick where you're at with this draft. I've spent a lot of time talking about your first 3 rounds already. I've done a video where we really went at it, but where I believe you stole the draft was the overall depth of your draft. I think you did a phenomenal job on day 3 as well, and I want to highlight 3 players from day 3 that I think are really good, that I think you're going to be really, really excited about. But also, let's talk about not just me, let's talk about what other people are saying as well. So the first thing I want to look at right here is PFF. PFF gives the Raiders an A grade. Not many teams receive that. All right? You get an A grade for all of it. And now when I say that I want to talk about the people in the back end, let's start with a few different spots. We will start with JJ Pegues, or however you say his name. All right? I don't need to know how to say his name to know that he can play. He ranked 124th on the PFF big board, making this a solid value selection for the Raiders. He earned an 81.8 PFF run defense grade and a 76.4 pass rushing grade. Here's the thing that's unique about this guy. When you look at him, he's versatile. He was a tight end. He was a 4-star tight end coming out of high school. He committed to Auburn instead of staying home and going to Ole Miss, and then he went back to Ole Miss after a year at Auburn. He transferred over to the defensive side of the ball. So while he started as a 4-star tight end, he ended the season, or he ended his college career as a 6'2", 325-pound defensive tackle. That is versatility. But here's what I love about this. All right, here's what I love about it. He'll slot in perfectly next to Christian, all right, and on that defensive side of the ball, all right, it allows it. He is got great agility at over 300 pounds because he played offense, right? You don't get an offensive position like tight end without having good versatility, good speed, good movement skills. So when you move that into that, it doesn't, like, he moves phenomenally well. This is a guy that I'm surprised dropped this far. He got picked at 182. He was one of those picks when it went off the board. You're like, how is this guy still available? And I think he was significantly better. So that is the first guy that I want to talk about that I think he was really, really good. The next guy that I want to talk about was another defensive tackle. It is Tonka Hemingway. Hemingway can provide some pass rush production from the interior and could be moved out to the edge. He posted a 73.5 PFF pass rushing grade in 2024 and 77.7 in 2023. When we talk about athletic ability, at the combine, he went and he weighed in at 284 pounds, 6'3", 284. And for a defensive tackle, that's light. For a defensive end, that's large. He has long arms at 33 inches. He could absolutely play the defensive end position, and he could be someone who could be an effective pass rusher, right? Opposite of Mason Crosby. You just need someone who can be effective, but he can absolutely stop the run, set an edge. He's that kind of athlete. So I like looking at, in the late rounds, I like seeing what is a guy's ceiling. Right? Like, does he have the athletic ability where if he gets the right coaching, I think that they'll be able to be really, really good. All right? South Carolina is turning into a more serious program lately. All right? They have good coach, but getting that NFL coaching could be really helpful. And as you can see, his RAS, he is a good athlete. The only thing that was hurting him in all this was his height and weight. Is he a little bit of a tweener? Yes, he is. That's why you took him in the 4th round. Right? Like, that's why you took him in the 4th round, because he is a little bit of a tweener, and you have to figure out where he's going to go. But I think he could be this guy that all of a sudden, in a year, 2 years, 3 years, as he's coming up to the end of his rookie contract, you're like, this dude's playing 40 snaps a game. 35 snaps, whatever it might be, and you're really thankful that he's a guy that's on your team. Now, I like all of those. I think those are two good picks, but the one that I like the most just so happens to be the one that was taken the highest up at the 108, early in the 4th round, and it's Dante Thornton. Oh, my goodness. All right? As it says in PFF, this is a bet on size and athleticism on the outside for Vegas. There aren't many wide receivers at 6'5", over 200 pounds, who can run a 4.3 40-yard dash. No, he wasn't a high-volume option. It's true. All right, when you look at his production, high grades, but in 18 games, he was only targeted 13 games, he was only targeted 34 times. 2.5 times a game. He was targeted 2.5 times a game. But with those 34 targets, he turned it into 26 catches for a ridiculous 25.5-yard average. One of the things that the Raiders desperately needed in their wide receiver room, outside of Trey Tucker, who's tiny, was speed. You need speed. This is a guy who has over-the-top game-breaking speed. Would I expect him to be a consistent 1,000-yard receiver in the league? No. But if he can get the route running down, absolutely yes. 6'5", 214, and I would expect similar numbers. Would you take that from a receiver, a guy who can get you 30, 40 catches a year and turn it into, 600-700 yards and 5 or 6 touchdowns? I'd take that all day out of a 4th-round draft pick. And that is what you're seeing across analyst and draft boards pretty consistently, is that the Raiders nailed the draft. They nailed it. And so when you look at these guys, when you look at the Raiders starting lineup, all right, you already have a guy that's kind of in the tweener range with Tyree Wilson. Is he going to play the edge? Is he going to go inside? He had a much better second year than he did a first year, so he's starting to come around. But great, add Tonka Hemingway just to give him a little competition. All right, what else are you going to put on? Maybe it allows one of them to move outside purely. All right, then you got JJ that comes in here. You can slot in next to Wilkins. There was a need on the defensive line. You needed to bulk it up, and you did. And then your wide receiver room. Right? You go out and you get not just Jack Beck, all right, Beck, whatever, however you pronounce it, all right? And I've heard it so many different ways. And that's the reason I don't know, because one analyst who knows what he's talking about says it one way, another one says it another way. And then you have Jacoby Myers. I love Jacoby Myers. He's not fast. But you have transformed this offense. Now you have a guy who can take the top off if you need it to. You have your route runner in Jacoby Myers. You have your all-around player in Jack Beck. And all of a sudden, you're like, whoa. And now Trey Turner can have fun. He can be your gadget guy, and he can be used the way he's supposed to be used. And all of a sudden, you realize, like, oh, my goodness, do we actually have a complete football team? Not to mention Rodgers or Grant possibly finding a way into the starting lineup on the offensive line. Really good draft. You had a ton of picks. I think you ended up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 at the end of the day. So you would hope to be able to fill some holes. But I think there's a lot of future starters on this. I really do. I think there's 4 or 5 future starters in this. So, all right. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Keep watching. Hit that subscribe button. Why not? See you on the next one.